I'm the founder of Oathkeepers.
Yeah.
We're here in Connecticut to do we did a meeting tonight to a lot of the Connecticut Oathkeepers. We had a big rally in Albany today, up there with the New York guys, and a gun rights rally up there. That's what I was doing. And on the way back, before going on the flight tomorrow morning, I stopped in here and talked to the Connecticut Oathkeepers. And we're here at the King 33 Training Center, and we did some force on force. In fact, you just shot me.
That I didn't.
Munitions, not real bullets, but.
And I'm very sorry for that too, Stewart.
Don't apologize. It was good training. Yes. So we're here doing force on force training that's available to civilians, and it's something I definitely advocate. I just told the folks here, I think every American should have. We're supposed to be the militia, so we should have small infantry or light infantry skills: move, shoot, and communicate. It's important.
So, what initially made you start Oathkeepers? Did you have an epiphany? Was it a group of you?
Yes, it was a personal. Well, let's put it this way: during the Bush years, right after 9/11, when the president claimed the authority, and his lawyers, mainly claimed the authority to apply the laws of war to Americans, exactly the same as to a foreign enemy in wartime. First thing I did is open the Constitution and looked at Article 3, Section 3, the Treason Clause, and said, wait a minute, this doesn't make any sense. You're supposed to get a jury trial if you're accused of making war against your own country, aiding the enemy, and requires 2 witnesses of the same overt act or confession in open court. But main thing is a jury trial. And what they're claiming is, well, no, we can just apply the laws of war to you. Use lethal force, military detention, a military trial, no jury trial. So that was the first huge red flag for me, because one of the causes of the American Revolution was the denial of jury trial, the violation of the right to jury trial. It's listed right there. The king has, in many cases, denied us the benefit of trial by jury. So it was a first huge red flag. And then, of course, the Homily decision in 2004, the Supreme Court said, ignored the Treason Clause and said, nothing in the Constitution prevents the U.S. government from detaining one of its own citizens as an unlawful combatant. And that's when I knew we had crossed the Rubicon. That the executive branch is claiming an unlawful, tremendously dangerous power, which is basically the equivalent of the same kind of power that Hitler had over his people or Joseph Stalin. And now you had the court backing it up. I knew we were in a lot of trouble. So this is during the Bush years. I worked for the Ron Paul campaign in 2007, of course, and Ron Paul was not nominated for the Republican slot for the presidency. That's when I realized that whether it was McCain or Obama, we were in a lot of trouble. Both of them were demonstrated oath breakers already in their careers, and so I said, okay, look, we have to do something that will hopefully put the brakes on, and the whole point is to buy the liberty movement more time, because it's changing things. You are waking up people across the country. Ron Paul movement, what you guys are doing, all alternative media, it's having an effect. But if you have the power elites who want to shut down, eventually they'll have to shut down the internet, have to do, try to create a crisis and create an emergency, and then take advantage of it. Never let a crisis go to waste, right? So this is what I was worried about, is that they are putting the infrastructure in place, legally and structurally, with DHS and NORTHCOM, domestic deployment of U.S. troops, FEMA, all the infrastructure's in place, and of course the legal infrastructure, with all these court decisions, NSA spying on Americans. It's the infrastructure for a police state. And so all that's left now is a trigger event. And so I said, well, one way to throw a monkey wrench in there and buy more time for liberty movement is to reach out to the guys in the ranks who have the guns, police and military, the ones that the power elites are going to rely on to be their dumb animals, as Kissinger called them. That's what they think. But these people are waking up. We see all the sheriffs now, over 300 sheriffs are waking up and saying no to the gun control laws, preemptive refusal in advance before it even comes down. They're saying we're not going to do it. Rank and file cops are standing up. You've got military also who are voicing their opposition. And this is what we're trying to encourage and spread, is the individual responsibility of everyone in taking the oath to say no, to nullify, to say I will not do it. That's the whole point.
So what's your driving force that keeps you doing what you're doing? What keeps you motivated to go out there and spread your message?
My kids. That's it. Like I said today in the rally, I almost died twice when I was in the Army, and then I almost died again when I was in civilian life. I took a bullet right in the eye. There's a fake eye right here. So I'm on borrowed time. I'm on bonus time. Yeah. It's not about me. I could care less about me. It's about my kids, and that's the driving force. So like I said today, the rally in New York. None of us gets out of here alive. All that matters is whether our kids are free. That's what matters. So that's the driving force. It's the love of my children, and my country. My parents, my father served. My grandpa fought in the Battle of the Bulge against the Germans. All that sacrifice will be for nothing if we let America fall. this is the last, it's not the only hope of mankind, but really we are at the epicenter, and this is a serious obstacle to the power elite's worldwide goals of tyranny over all of mankind. The American people stand in the way, and it's because we're armed. It's really critical.
Definitely have to agree with you on that. What is your definition of a civilian, and what do you think their responsibilities are?
I don't like that term. I really don't like this term civilian.
Okay.
All Americans, we're supposed to be the militia. That's why I don't like the term sheepdog.
Yep.
We're not supposed to be a nation of sheep. Yep. It's not supposed to be a herd of sheep with professional warriors. Every American is supposed to be a warrior. Every American is supposed to be a soldier in the militia. That was the founders' answer to that ancient question of who should guard the guardians. We should guard ourselves. So we should be the militia. That's why I don't like to use the term civilian. Yep. So, now, a citizen, an American citizen, as an American, you have responsibilities. We talked about tonight. Yep. You have a full spectrum responsibility across the board to defend the Constitution. Whether you take an oath for it or not, you're supposed to be the militia. You have duties and responsibilities.
Yes. Now, you guys say you'll support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic. So how do you go about classifying who's the enemy and who's not?
Well, anybody who was sworn an oath to the Constitution in public service, any politician, for example, who then violates the Constitution is a domestic enemy of the Constitution. They stepped outside the bounds. Sometimes they make mistakes. I put them in two categories. One would be, the useful idiots, and other ones would be knowing, self-aware traitors. Like, look at the NDAA. Grossly unconstitutional claim of power to apply military jurisdiction to Americans in direct contravention of Article 3 of the Treason Clause, Article 3, Section 3, and of course, 6th Amendment 2. Anybody who does that, who doesn't know what they're doing, is the useful idiot. They still shouldn't be in public office. But like someone like John McCain or Lindsey Graham or Alan West, who are military officers, to name 3 Republicans, or the Democrats, who served in the military, they are much more on the hook because they should know better. And I think they do know better. They know exactly what they're doing. So I would call them, willful traitors to the Constitution who are making war on the American people. So.
Well, that's a good answer, man. I like that. One more thing. What are you hopeful for in the future? We have all this negativity coming our way. We want a little hope and positivity, so...
Well, I mean, look at the stand-up we're seeing across the country in reaction to the gun control. I mean, it's been frustrating to watch all the rest of the Bill of Rights being destroyed over these, decades, and especially since 9/11, and to have people, kind of still asleep at the switch. A lot of gun owners are still asleep, not paying attention. But now they're waking up. So it's a gift in many ways. It's the easiest way to reach a great majority of the American people because they still understand their right to bear arms. They still feel a personal connection to that right, and it feels threatened. And so it's a very useful tool right now for us to wake them up to everything else that's been going on. I can say, yeah, see, when we said back in 2009 in Declaration of 10 Orders, number 1 is we will not disarm the American people, and we point to Katrina as an example. See, we were right that they are going to come for your guns, but look, man, they're also coming for the 4th Amendment, they're coming for the 5th Amendment, they're coming for the whole ball of wax. They're coming after everything. So it's a great wake-up tool. So I'm glad they did this. Obama is already, tongue-in-cheek regarded as the greatest gun salesman in the United States history, and the greatest ammo salesman, but he actually might turn out being the greatest community organizer because he's compelling all these communities to get organized to resist him. So it's kind of funny. He might wind up with a domestic security force just as powerful as U.S. military, but instead of being DHS, it's going to be us. So I thank Obama, frankly, for doing this. And Feinstein and Bloomberg and Cuomo and all the rest of them. And Peter King from New York. Today we gave redcoats out to the top traitors from New York. One of them was Representative Peter King, who's a Republican, because he's come out in favor of an assault weapons ban. Of course, he voted for the Patriot Act, the NDAA, drones over America. I mean, he wanted to have a bubble around politicians, a 1,000-yard bubble of no Second Amendment wherever they go. The guy's a total friggin' fascist. And so I think it's wonderful to be able to put a red coat on him and have the gun owners cheer, even though they were kind of asleep at all the stuff he did in the past. They liked him because he was tough on Islamists and things like that. But now they see him for what he is. He's a friggin' red coat. Right along with Bloomberg, right along with Cuomo and all the rest of them. So it's great.
So where can we find your work? How can we become an Oathkeeper?
Folks can go to oathkeepers.org. There's also a new pledge site we have called the Milan LeBay Pledge site, and that's at milanlebaypledge.org. And that's a pledge that folks can do. They can just go in there and adopt it for themselves as individuals, that they're going to nullify as an individual and say, no, I will not comply, I will not register myself, because registration is just a line in the sand. Do not register yourself. When you register yourself like a criminal and register your firearms, that's when you've submitted inside your heart, inside your mind. You've submitted right then. That's the line, not confiscation. Registration's the line. So I encourage folks to go check that pledge site out. Go to Oathkeepers. If they want to join, and whether you're prior service or not, you can join as an associate member if you're not prior service. But the main thing is not so much that, we want you to join. It's help us spread the message. We're doing a billboard campaign to put billboards outside of every major base in America. We currently have $48,000 that people have donated to go spend on billboards. My goal is to get that spent within a month. If you want to, in your local community, go find a billboard outside of a base, outside of a National Guard training center, outside of your state police or your sheriff's office, whatever you want to do. You go get the billboard, you raise the money locally or get it donated, let us know and we'll help you with the artwork. Or if you want to donate to the campaign, you can go on the website and donate there too, whatever it takes. So help us spread the message. Like you guys have done with all the things you've done across the country, Wear Change has been very successful. Same thing here. Take our stuff, pass it out, pass out DVDs, pass out pocket constitutions to the troops and the cops, and do not forsake them. There are good guys in the ranks. Today, up at the rally in Albany, I met about 8 New York City cops who came down to the rally who are Oathkeepers. And it was really surprising to see how strong they were right there in New York City. And these are good guys. It was awesome. It was truly awesome to meet them. And they talk about their own personal experiences doing the right thing. Using their discretion as an officer. You see on the news, you'll see the news story about the guy, up at Fort Drum and got popped with the 5 magazines. So you see all the negative stuff about that, but you don't see the stories because they don't make the news of the cop that gives the guy a warning and says, hey man, don't bring it into the city, things like that, and let them go using their discretion. That happens a lot. So you guys got a strong chapter in New York City. Yeah, go for it.
We thank you, and good luck with everything you're doing.
Thanks, buddy.
If we don't have a First Amendment, I cannot bring redress of grievance against my own government because they're claiming sovereign immunity. They're claiming executive privilege. They're claiming state secrets. It somehow supersedes my rights.
As being persecuted for their crimes of speaking out against war crimes.
Absolutely. I mean, I think what's really important to drive home is the executive, unchecked, doesn't limit itself. That's the nature of executive power.